This is a Squier Affinity Telecaster in Butterscotch Blonde. How does it sound? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Landon. This is Lando27 Music. Take a moment to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and like this video if you do end up liking it. So we're taking a look at Fender's Squier Affinity Series Telecaster, and this one is in Butterscotch Blonde. This particular model is a 2019 made in Indonesia that I bought out of pocket. So this wasn't sent to me. This is something that I'm reviewing on my own. And I bought this guitar because I was always curious. I'd heard a lot about these guitars, the Affinity series, if you're not familiar. The Squier has a number of different lines. Bullet is the lowest, Affinity is the second level up. So that's what this would be. And I was just always curious, being a huge Telecaster fan, I really wanted to know how it compares against other Fender Telecasters, such as the Made in Mexico line, and the Pro Series. I've played some custom shops. So yeah, I was really curious, how does this hold up? This is like a budget line guitar, and I just wanted to see what you get for your money. Like I said, this is made in Indonesia. I know some have been made in China. I don't know the full history of Squier. For this video, this is a made in Indonesia, so I will comment on this particular guitar. I know there's different makes, different years, different countries of origin, so maybe you have the same experience that I have with this one. Yeah, like I said, I believe at some point they were made in China. If you do know the history, let me know in the comments as well. So in this video, we're going to do a few things. There will be timestamps, so if you want to see a certain section and get to it, go ahead and have a look in the description. Like I said, we're going to break up this video into a few sections. We'll have a walkthrough. I'll go through all the specs. We'll have some nice close-up pictures and videos so you can see exactly the workmanship that was put into this one guitar. Once we go through all the specs and the walkthrough, play through some different sounds. I've got a Vox AC15. I've got a Marshall DSL 20HR. We'll do some backing track playing, as well as just playing through each pickup individually. And to wrap up the video, don't forget to stay to the end. I'll give you my pros and cons and my opinion on this guitar. Also, stay tuned to future videos. I'm going to have this guitar up against other Butterscotch Telecasters that I have in my collection. So if you haven't already, I already mentioned this, but be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll know about those other videos coming up in the future. So as I mentioned, we'll just do a quick walkthrough of the whole guitar, and then I'll get into some detailed close-ups. I'll put the specs on screen so you can see exactly what you're getting with all the different parts. So, like I said, this is a Affinity Series Telecaster. It's in Butterscotch Blonde. It's got a maple neck. It's got standard Squier tuners, maple fretboard, three-way selector. So you got your neck pickup, you got your bridge pickup, and in the middle you can play them together. Yeah. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's kind of a satiny finish on the neck. If you can see from the lighting there, I'd say it's at least a four-piece body, possibly a five. And then you got your jack, which is not a cup. That's just a quick overview. Let's take a really close look at all the parts. All right, let's do one quick flyover so you can just see the guitar here quickly. We'll go into more detail on each part in a second. And now what I'm going to do is actually weigh the guitar so you can see exactly how much this one weighs. And this scale is in kilos, 3.434 kilograms, and that converts to 7.571 pounds. So it's a pretty nice and light guitar, which is a little bit easier on the back. And personally, I like this kind of weight. All right, now this is something obviously you don't have to do. I just like to open up my guitars and take a look inside. This has got a pick guard. It's got 8 screws on it. And you'll notice that the neck pickup is mounted in the body, so the pickup is actually adjusted underneath the pickguard, which can make it easier a little bit. Sometimes when you're trying to get the pickguard off, it's not attached right to the neck pickguard. And if you can explain this to me, I'd like to know. There's a smiley face drawn under the pickguard. I don't know if it was just kind of a joke. You can see I'm looking here, and I don't know what that was. So anyways, let's move on to the control cavity. Control cavity, easy to open up, 2 screws, one on the top, one on the bottom, and then it just basically slides out. So nothing unexpected in here. There's alpha mini pots, PCB switch board, closer up of the neck pickup. You can see how it's mounted in the bottom. There's a ground wire mounted in the body, and there's shielding paint throughout, which is pretty nice. And then closer looking at the wiring, this is the wire that goes out to the input jack, and it's a single wire, so it's kind of like, it looks like it's braided through one piece instead of two. So, and that's the output jack closer up. It's not a cup, it's a metal plate that sticks on the outside of the body. Let's run down the neck here and go through the specs. So this is a maple neck. It's got a satiny finish on the back. The front doesn't really have any gloss. It's medium jumbo frets. The nut is a black plastic nut, and it's 21 frets, 9.5-inch radius. The body here is an alder with a polyurethane finish, and you can see on the back here, possibly you can see that there's a maple board on top of the neck there. And then it's a number of pieces of wood that are kind of sandwiched together to make that one piece on the back. And if you notice there was no holes on the back of the body, that's because it's a top load bridge. So you can see the strings here running through the saddles and then out the back of the little plate on the bridge. So just getting some close-ups here. One thing I didn't expect was the amount of attention put on the fretboard and the frets. See here a single ply black pick guard. And yeah, you can see it's just really clean. The neck is really, really nice on this model. So very impressive. So there you go, a quick overview. If I missed any specs, you can check Squier's official site. The link will be in the description. And that does it for the specs. All right, so to wrap up the video, this section will be my pros and cons. As I said earlier in the video, I was really curious how this guitar would hold up to other Fender Telecasters. That's comparing against like the Mexican line, which has the Player series, the American Pro series, other custom shop guitars that I've also seen in store. I don't own any myself, but that I've played. So before I get into the actual pros and cons, just my overall impression. I'll say when I did buy the guitar, I had pretty low expectations. I didn't really expect to get anything special. My expectations were exceeded a little bit, and I'll tell you why. It's the work on the neck, which I did not expect. I've played some of the Bullet series guitars, which don't seem to have a finish on the neck, and I'm a huge fan of satiny finishes. So this has a really nice satiny finish. It has just a really nice finish on it. I can run my hand up and down here. There's no sharp frets at all. The fretwork is actually really nice, which I wasn't expecting. The nut is like this black plastic nut, and it looks like it's cut very well, and it's shaped really well. I've seen a lot of guitars with dirty glue work up here, or the wood isn't cut very cleanly. I'm not seeing anything like that. To me, the neck is the most important part, so that's why I'm pleasantly surprised with it. It is fairly lightweight. You saw when I weighed it there, it's like 7.5 pounds, so it's very playable, and it was set up nicely, so I've had no problems playing it in this video. None of the demos had any problems. I didn't have any tuning problems, just normal stuff where I would go to tune a little bit if I was doing a lot of bends and stuff like that, but nothing out of the ordinary. So overall, I'm pretty impressed, and I think you're getting a good value for your dollar. I'm going to kind of repeat some of the stuff I just said, but let's get into the actual, I've written down my pros and cons. I couldn't remember them all, so let's go over my pros here. So very playable. It's nice and light. I did mention that. The neck fit and finish is surprisingly decent. I'd say above average for this price of a guitar. The fretwork is really clean. I like the satiny finish on the back. The pickups, when I saw them, you can't really see what the neck pickup looks like inside, but when I saw the bridge pickup, I was kind of concerned because it looks a little bit anemic or underweight. It's got a lot. It looks like it doesn't have very many windings, so I didn't really know if this was going to be a good sounding pickup or not. I have no complaints with the sounds. You heard them. They sound fairly decent. The body paint is nice. It's more of an orange tint if you're comparing this against other Butterscotch guitars. The last pro, I guess, when I opened it up, I was surprised to see shielding paint. I really didn't expect to see anything like that. Maybe every guitar has that in it now these days. Maybe that's just something that every company is using. I don't know. I did say I'm impressed with it. Those are my pros. There's always cons, right? You can't expect to spend the amount of money. Here in Canada, they're $300 or $299 plus tax. In the States, I think they're $229. There are going to be little things, but I don't think any of them are deal breakers. So let's go over what I think are the cons. The tuners are okay. They're just standard tuners. They seem to hold their tuning. I don't know yet if they're going to be able to last very long. I don't know. I don't know how they will be with wear and tear. Overall, which you can expect, the guitar uses cheaper parts throughout. So the ones that I noticed, personally, a lot of it you can't really tell. Cosmetically looks the same, but definitely the control plate, the knobs, and everything in the control cavity here has a cheaper feel. You can't really tell by looking at it maybe, but the switch, the selector switch here, just the metal rod on it is flimsy. You could probably easily bend it. I know from other guitars I have that they're usually pretty solid and you can't bend them. It's not a major concern, but it's definitely something. You know, the pots on the inside are the Alpha Minis. The knobs are non-removable. One of them is a little bit scratchy, the tone. Scratchy, I mean I can actually feel some resistance in there. So again, it's little nitpick things that aren't really affecting the guitar, but yeah, so like the knobs, normal knobs, you'd have a little screw that you can undo and pop these off. I think they're permanently fixed. Maybe they're glued on. I've never really tried to pull these off, and I'm not really willing to try to pull them off. You can see the input jack there is like a plastic outing, so it's plastic instead of a metal cup. I think it's a con just because it's plastic, and that could possibly wear out eventually. Is it plastic? Maybe that's metal. I think it's oh, that's a metal. I thought that was plastic. It turns out that's like a metal piece. Is that better than their cups? If you're very picky about cosmetics, there are some stains on the alder body that you can see right there. Again, little things that you're gonna get when you get a guitar at this price range, and nothing that will kill the guitar. So I've already rambled on a little bit and I've repeated things. overall impressions, great budget guitar, impressive tones, really nice neck. That's my takeaway. Would I recommend one? Well, it all depends on your situation. If you've never played guitar before, say this was your first guitar, the stuff I pointed out, you'd probably never notice, and you'd be able to play fine with it. The fact that I could play through all those samples easily shows me that there's something good going on here, especially with this neck. All right, so how does this guitar compare to other Teles in higher classes? Well, in the future, I plan to do some other videos. I'm going to compare this against, hopefully, a classic vibe, 50s classic vibe Squier, also a made in Mexico Player Series Tele. So like I said, be sure to subscribe and check back to see how this compares against some other higher end Teles. That's going to do it for this video. Again, I'm Landon, this is Lando 27 Music. Hopefully this video was helpful for you if you were looking at getting the Affinity guitars, especially the Telecaster. Maybe this gave you the information you were looking for. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer everything. As always, play guitar and have fun, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. This is a Squier Affinity Telecaster in Butterscotch Blonde. Let's see how it finds out to find out. This is a Squier Series Affinity